Damn, your name's on fire.
Radiant team ban.
Your name's on fire in your logo.
I know. I don't know why. Alright, here we go.
Dire team ban.
Hello, and welcome to this Dotacinema production. My name is SUNSfan. Joining me is Purge, and this is the SkyNet League group stages. This match is actually between Masspro and GamersLeague. But first things first, Purge, how's it going, big boy?
I'm doing great, man. I don't know anything about either of these teams. There's a lot of teams in this tournament that are very unknown. I only recognize two names, which is Easy Style and Panza, and everything else just unknowns. But they look to be picking great so far.
So that's a good thing that you know two, because I know like 8, so that makes an even. No, actually, I don't think I know 8. I probably know like 6. I know Tanari, of course, one of our streamers. And then the other side, there are a ton of Han players that I'm familiar with, at least from Han. I know a lot of them came from Dota originally, so they've played both. Like Papa Dreyich, Zoinoi Snoo, and these other guys, I don't know if they're under aliases, but I know that Strange Bee and a couple other, and Yiftig from Reason Gaming are actually, or ex Reason Gaming are actually in here. So should be interesting to see what actually comes about as far as how they match up. But yeah, let's just start with the bands, because basically what this is a group stages for the SkyNet League, and the actual tournament doesn't start until I think it's January 2nd. But until then, I think the top 2 teams of each group get basically, what's the word I'm looking for? They get moved on to the actual tournament itself. So this is
they advance.
Yes, thank you. See, I just woke up, and it's very tough for me to think right now because my voice is disgusting. I sound really Jewish, but things are going to go well. I have a good feeling about it. So anyway, going over the bands. Why don't you go over the bands, Purge, and you can give me your competitive, juicy insight.
Alright, of the first round bans here, Night Stalker, Anti-Mage, and Nature's Prophet, all excellent bans. Those heroes need to be out of the pool. The Omni Knight is a little bit more of a preference. Not every team necessarily does that, but Omni Knight is definitely a bastard of a hero at times in the mid game. If you can't burst nuke him down or like cast Doom on him or something, he is really frustrating to play against. So I think that's not a big deal either.
But I mean, with these bans, that leaves somebody like a Broodmother open, who was second picked by the Dire. So that's interesting to see. I'm used to her being banned over and over. But yeah, the Omni Knight's definitely questionable as far as, I mean, obviously something they've seen. Maybe they've scouted the opposite team or something like that. We're not quite sure. But so far, Radiant have picked up Windrunner, Tidehunter, and Slaughter with their first round of picks. And the Dire have Lich, Broodmother, and Mirana. Nothing really standing out to me. Anything stand out to you?
I mean, if an Omni Knight was pushed back, I guess I would normally throw in either Lich or Broodmother. Like you said, Broodmother does get banned a lot. Tidehunter is well regarded by a lot of people to be like the most powerful supporter right now, just because of his ulti always being effective in a team fight. I mean, but we did watch that other game. We did talk about this last time we casted, that over long duration team fights, if you're team fighting more than 140 seconds, all of a sudden Tidehunter is a lot less effective than a hero like Earthshaker. So if you're doing a lot less of, if you're doing a lot more sparse engages, then I think Tidehunter is really powerful, which is why they picked him up. And Windrunner obviously good at everything and good in pretty much every matchup, so why not pick him up? And then that left them to get Broodmother and Lich, which is a little interesting. We'll see how that impacts the game.
Yeah, I mean, for the Radiant so far they have, this is what I would assume, correct me if I'm wrong, Slardar, Tidehunter. Actually, would they put a Tidehunter in a tri-lane with a Slardar being double melee? I mean, I know in, well, like Earthshaker, for example, is still used in tri-lane just because he's considered sort of a pseudo long-range hero, even though he's melee. I don't know if that's the same case with Tide.
It might be a weird thing. I mean, once in a while we'll see a Slardar solo. If he's up against like a Clockwork Goblin or something like that, they'll throw him into that lane and let him solo or whatever. We could see a tri-lane with the Tidehunter. I don't think that would be ridiculous at all. But they're definitely going to have to get another range support if they do wish to tri-lane him.
Yeah, and the Windrunner can be, I think it's one of the most flexible heroes in the game. I think I'm used to seeing her as a solo side though, but I've seen her as a support. I'm not a big fan of it, I must say, but she's still powerful nonetheless. And of course, Lich on the other team can do literally anything. That's the most flexible hero in the entire game. Broodmother, I think, is very set in his ways. Has to be a solo hero, either mid or usually in the side solo. And then Mirana is very flexible as well. You can have the side solo, but also in some sort of a tri-lane or even a death tri-lane of sorts. Even a dual lane, actually. But it looks like they're going to finish out the bans here. Radiant are going to be banning Vengeful Spirit and Beastmaster, getting rid of one of those solos in Beastmaster for mid. Looking up, I mean, I guess their strategy is, you know, it looks like they're probably going to go for a mid solo at this point, which would assume that Lich is going to be laning with Mirana, with Broodmother in the side solo, perhaps a jungler to go along with some sort of a mid.
One really nasty lane is actually a Lich Priest of the Moon on the Dire bottom. It works so good. You can shut down hard carries really well because they're both max range heroes. Lich already really good at harassing, plus Priest of the Moon's utility. If you land a good stun or something, that could be a dead hero. So that might be a possibility as well. In some senses, I think the Beastmaster ban, Beastmaster is a really good hero, but it's kind of a weird ban because of the fact they already do have so many solo possibilities. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a horrible thing. And yeah, the lanes really could go a lot of ways, and I think that both the team's picks are very equal at the moment.
Looks like Dyer's going to pick up Ancient Apparition. Now, this is a hero that I haven't... Oh, obviously we've cast, but he's just very flexible in nature. I think I'm used to seeing him as a support lately, but I remember back in the day he was mostly used as a solo mid. And he's crazy good in a solo situation. Do you think they're going to end up using him as a solo, or sort of like in a trial with that Lich and Mirana?
Kind of the way that people play Ancient Apparition, if they kind of pick him up early usually. Wow, that's weird, a Skeleton King. I did not expect that. Ancient Apparition doesn't really... He gets picked up pretty early usually, sometimes banned. But if teams can solo him, they like to solo him, but sometimes you just get to the end of your picking stage and you're like, well, I have to play him as a support now. And that's how he's going to get played this game because there's no other supports in the game. So I'm expecting to see probably like... I'm going to guess a 1-2-2 lane, but... Yeah, it's gonna have to be that, I think. They're going to have to do Broodmother in a solo. They might Priest of the Moon solo and do Sand King, AA, and Lich, or they might do SK solo and do Priest of the Moon, AA, and Lich. I think those are their options.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree. The 1-2-2 sounds like the most. I mean, this is a Han. Well, they're not a Han team per se, but a lot of experience with Han. At least in the last couple of years, they've been heavily Han players. And I say that, and I'm looking at their lineup. I don't know the names of these people because they could be pseudonyms or whatever. But I mean, Zoinos I know for a fact was Reason, and these other three in the bottom, I have no idea who they are. But Papa Drach, of course, ex-Dota player of old, and he played a little bit of Han, but mostly Dota at that point. So I can't. And this is the thing, actually, with Reason Gaming, they've always had some questionable picks, and I always pick on them for that. And of course, this Skeleton King being picked up is very odd. I love to see it though, just because he's melee and he's awesome. But we'll see how it ends up working out for them as far as the laning phase goes. And I think if you're the Radiant in this case, do you go for the tri lane to try to? I mean, I would think the Dire is doing this just to counter the tri lane as far as going for a 1-2-2 setup, since they have two heroes that can potentially be in that suicide lane.
I think it's pretty hard to say. I think either tri-lane could be successful against each other, but I don't know. It kind of comes down to a couple different factors. The Radiant team definitely is going to need a solo unless they want to solo their Slardar. They could hypothetically pick up like some kind of a ranged farmer, but I don't necessarily think that would be possible. I mean, there's so many range, and they're actually going to pick up another support hero. So, who is going to solo for them, man? Maybe Ty. I guess it's going to be Slar, possibly. I think they're planning to maybe just put. It's either Slar or Tide, I think, going to be solo in the mid lane, and then the rest of the guys are going to go thrown into a tri-lane. But I think it's kind of weird. They really only have two heroes that are farm dependent, and the other three are farm independent. So it might be kind of an interesting situation.
Yeah, that's actually that is really. I hope I see Tide mid because that would be awesome. But I have a feeling I'm not going to see that. They're going to have to put one of those melees mid though for sure. And I think that Slard. If you have Tide Hunter in the tri-lane, it's like 3 supports in a tri-lane, essentially. I mean, it can be powerful, don't get me wrong, but you're not going to get anything out of it unless you're going against their tri-lane, just trying to stop their farm. So look for that to be a possibility, I suppose. As Windrunner looks like she's going to be heading towards, well, it doesn't look like she knows what she's want to do. But anyway, let's go over the names of the players, since they may watch this in the future, and they want to be, star-studded and whatnot. But we got Tanari, good friend Tanari on the Witch Doctor. You're going to have to help me with these names, by the way, although you don't know their names, so... But maybe your pronunciation's better. I don't know. Sava Doom on Crystal Gaiden, or Maiden if you prefer, as they pop the smoke. Lynn on Windrunner. Z0 Pro, interesting double Z there on Slardar. And at bottom looks like that's going to be your solo, Tide Hunter. Nabaz playing that.
That's weird. Alright, for the Dire team, we have Father Drach playing the Skeleton King, Jay Hinders on the Ancient Apparition, Wrist Limp on the Lich, and D. Iverson on the Priest of the Moon. The final here is Broodmother on top. And his name is some characters that I don't understand.
Zoinos Snoo. It's the one guy I know.
Oh, okay. Zoinos Snoo.
Yeah,
okay, cool.
Actually, I am so used to him playing a solo situation, and he looks like he's going to be doing that, so that's going to be fun to see. He's a big-time... Well, in Han, it's Dr. Repulsor, so in this game it would be Storm Spirit. But it's going to be interesting to see him play Broodmother, because there's no... I guess there kind of is a Broodmother, but not really, because Broodmother is just awesome. But anyway, it looks like the smoke will not do anything as they end up being on the opposite sides of the map. But it looks like we're heading towards top here. Oh, actually, it might be.
Haste!
I mean, Slardar is an excellent counter towards the Broodmother, especially once he hits level 6. But it looks like they are going to tri lane. What do you think about that at Tom?
That's actually a really strong tri lane. They're going to have 2 range shears with Crystal Maiden and the Witch Doctor and Slardar stunning, so every single one of them has a disable. All they're going to need to do is pick up a dust, and that's going to be Broodmother dying, or a Sentry Ward. And at that point, it's going to be really rough for him to play. Crystal Maiden looks like she's maybe roaming towards the mid lane, and it's a Windrunner there currently against the dual lane, so the Dire team is doing the dual lane strat, which I think is really sweet. Now, Tidehunter is going to get a lot like crappy farm in the bot lane. Against the Lich Mirana lane, they did go for that really strong lane. And he picked up a Stout Shield first. I think he's basically just going to sap EXP, but this isn't necessarily the worst thing possible for a hero like him who doesn't necessarily need farm in the first place.
Now, in this situation, when's the last time you've seen a Tidehunter in a solo situation like this in a competitive game?
Weeks. I've seen him once before, played as a solo, and everybody was kind of like, what the fuck? And I don't think it's necessarily a super bad thing, but like I said, if he just gets EXP, he's going to get to 6 really fast. He can gank this mid lane and drop an ulti, like a beast ulti, and that could make a big difference.
Yeah, I come from my experience with Dota in the past, at least, is he's been played as a carry, so I love to see this, because it's one of my personal favorite heroes. And I mean, it's one of those heroes that if you let take off, he can absolutely dominate. Especially, you say he's not farm dependent, and I completely agree, but if somebody like that does get farm, it's even that much more difficult to actually stop them. Looks like Slardar is just going to be soloing for the most part. I mean, I don't think Witch Doctor can do a whole lot unless they get some counter wards here, or invis wards, if you will.
Yeah, I think that's definitely smart, making that choice, because they're trialing, they're not going to be able to do anything to Broodmother until they get a Sentry Ward, and that could be like 2 minutes away, so they would just be standing there splitting farm 3 ways, and this way Windrunner in the mid lane with Crystal Maiden support can all of a sudden actually prevent SK from farming. He's not going for last hits here, because he knows he's going to take 2 hits every time that he goes up for a last hit, so I think that's really cool.
What do you I just want your opinion on Windrunner in anything but a solo. Like in this situation as a dual lane. I understand that it's good to counter them, but in general, the hero itself, do you think it really affects her? I feel she's kind of level dependent.
Yeah, she definitely is. It's going to make the lane a lot easier to gank because they can kill the Crystal Maiden. It's not like the only hero there is the Windrunner. But Windrunner can work in a tri lane. Like you said, I also don't like that. She's a little bit better as a solo, I guess. But it's not a bad thing because, like we said, in this case, they're going to be shutting down the enemy hard carry. So I think it's absolutely worth it in this case.
Looks like Mirana picked up that double damage. Was trying to gank mid, but unfortunately it's a little bit too pushed up and she doesn't want to dive, so nothing's going to come of it. In the meantime, you have that, I mean, again, Tidehunter is going to get solo experience for now. With Lich is the only one in the lane. Obviously can deny some experience, but I mean, at this point, Lich is level 3, Mirana level 2. That's a little bit questionable as far as picking up the rune there. I mean, in this case, Mirana, is it even your side carry? Considering you have an SK, or I guess you can't really say SK since that's Sand King, but Skeleton King Skeleton King and Broodmother being your main carries, I would assume.
Yeah, especially Skeleton King, he's going to be going for the hard carry role. He really can hit hard when he gets up there. And there's a chain disable on the Crystal Maiden on the mid lane. Will Windrunner be able to pick up a double kill? She's going to maybe be able to get a double A, will drop for sure. Maybe even Sand King a couple more hits. I don't think she's going to chase that one. But definitely a good trade there for the Windrunner. Oh my god, she might get it. 1 hit, 2 hit. Power shot is a little late, unfortunately. She should have power shotted immediately after the shackle and then hit once, and she would have gotten that kill.
Yeah, that's a really... I was expecting mid lane to have the most action, considering Skeleton King was in it because he's a beast and he's just not afraid of anything. Unfortunately, yeah, he could have died very easily there, but did not, obviously. Now Mirana... So I'm going to go back to this Mirana because you have 2 carries in Broodmother in score... God, I keep wanting to say it. You keep saying Sand King and it's throwing me off. Freaking
Did I say
Skeleton
Sand King?
Yeah, well, I do that all the
Damn
time
it.
too. But,
yeah, it happens.
I mean, Mirana in this case, you expect her to... she's going to get complete free from considering it's a 2v1, but do you consider she's going to be playing more of a roamer in this game?
Yeah, I guess so, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, because once again, what does the Radiant team have for hard carry? They've got Slardar doing a semi-carry and Windrunner doing a semi-carry. That's it. Is it really a big deal if their Mirana just runs around and tries to land beast arrows? I mean, they're still going to have a Broodmother, they're still going to have a Sand King. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. If she can get a couple kills early on, that's going to shut down their carry potential a lot.
Yeah, it looks like Crystal Maiden's going to die yet again, and Ancient Apparition most likely going to pay for his life. Actually, no, a nice stun onto Windrunner by Skeleton King, so that's going to prevent a kill onto Ancient Apparition, so nice job by Skeleton King. God damn you, Sand King. Seriously, killing me. You've ruined me, Purge, for this entire cast.
Game's lagging.
Yeah, Okay, good. It's not just me. That's good to see. My computer is lagging a bit. But at this point, you're right. I'm looking at the lineups after they've been picked, after they've been played a little bit in the lane. And you're right. Slardar is basically the one and only person that can really dominate the game, I would think. I mean, Tidehunter can, but he's just getting... I mean, he's level 3, for God's sake. It's not getting any fun whatsoever. And I think Slaughter just has to take over in this case. But it's going to be really tough considering you can't really kill Broodmother. They have Invis wards, but still, they don't really have enough firepower to actually kill her without a third person come by, I don't think.
Yeah, I didn't mention this before, but I want to point out how awesome the Skeleton King Ancient Apparition lane is. I've never really looked at it before. They recently changed his Hellfire Blast to get a slow after the stun duration, and they turned his damage to a damage over time. That way it wasn't as overpowered, basically. And now that it stuns for 2 seconds and slows for 15%, it's easily enough for the Cold Feet to trigger off. So just with these 2 heroes here, they can have like a very simple hard carry support lane and always trigger the Cold Feet, which is why they keep getting kills on the Crystal Maiden.
Yeah, that's a good point. And again, Ancient Apparition, for people that don't know, I don't know what kind of audience we're catering to here, but very flexible, like I was talking about. Can be played in the solo, can play in the duel, and if in the duel you really need somebody with a stun or a slow, and in this case, like you said, both, which is going to be really easy to get off for Cold Feet. Was it called Cold Snap before, by any chance?
Cold Snap is Invoker's Y key.
Okay, that makes more sense. I don't know why I thought that, but and speaking of Invoker, perhaps coming out soon,
Hoping. I would love to play him. I can't wait to I'm gonna make like a WTF video, I think, of me just playing Invoker's keys. It's actually really good to practice that way. It's the best way to practice Invoker, and just getting used to like the finger movements and all that crap. And he's gonna like change my hotkey setup more than any other hero, I think. I'm gonna have to like really think about how to do my hotkeys after he comes into the game.
You use Legacy, don't you?
Yeah, I still do Legacy, because you play for that long on Dota. It's like, do I really want to relearn how to use Quir? I mean, Quir makes more sense. I won't try to argue for Legacy. It makes more sense to have everything be consistent, but I just don't feel like relearning.
Well, what about when new heroes come out?
When new heroes come out, I can set it to whatever I want, and I change some hotkeys if I think it's like weird. I'm like, especially all the passives, because I've never pressed those hotkeys in Dota 1 in my life.
Right.
So like, I change some hotkeys to be things that make more sense to me, but as a whole, it's just preference. You get used to either one. I don't think it's necessarily bad to play either way.
I disagree. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I have a friend that's I'm trying to get into. He refuses to quit, as we're gonna have a little bit of action at bottom. Tidehunter is trying to flee the scene, as it looks like Skeleton King and Moran are gonna try to chase him. There's a little bit of ring around the rosy here. He's only level 4 at this point. 1 stun should be enough to at least. Well, actually, Skeleton King's not gonna dive, so Tidehunter will live to see another day. Meanwhile, at top, looks like going for kind of a dual lane now. It's kind of a weird setup with Lich and Bruma. I feel like Bruma is doing just fine alone, but they're gonna apply a little bit of pressure to Slardar. Slardar's gonna fake his stun and get away just fine, as he is level 5. So once he hits level 6, maybe they're anticipating him hitting level 6 and Broodmother having a lot of trouble in that lane.
Yeah, and once again, like we said, Slardar's the main carry. Throw the Lich or wherever the hard carry is, and he's gonna have a harder time of getting CS and farm. And the lane's constantly gonna push towards Broodmother, and Broodmother's, I mean, she's not gonna get as much EXP and farm as a result, but this is gonna shut down the Slardar a little bit.
Looks like Slaughter already has that Urn of Shadows, so excellent item pickup for anybody in the game. Is going to have a stun from Witch Doctor on top of Lich, and this follow-up stun by Slardar, and there's the follow-up from Crystal Gaiden as well, and that's going to be an easy kill on the Lich. Broodmother can really do nothing after the fact, considering that it is 1v3 at this point. So, but he's getting fine XP. Honestly, it's not the worst thing that could happen at the top lane, at least, considering Broodmother's still getting solo XP. There's the amplified damage as I am lagging. Is that the server or me?
Yeah, it's server. Sure. It's happening to me too.
Thank God.
I assume it is.
Alright, that's good.
The only downside of putting the Lich up here is now they have a weakness. You know, there's somebody to kill that's actually easier to kill than just like a Broodmother. Broodmother is not an easy pickup, and she's going to have those nets, man. So tough to pick up those kills on her. And they're actually going to go for it, I think. There's another amp damage. They're going to dive her into the jungle, but they do have vision, so it's impossible to juke. And what is she going to do? She needs to drop a net immediately. Big mistake there by the Broodmother, and she's going to get chain killed and drop immediately. She needed to drop the net, clear all the trees, and frickin' book it, dude. I think that was her only option.
And it looks like Moran is actually going to catch both. Crystal Main's actually going to TP out, but Slardar is not going to be so lucky, unfortunately. He's kind of cock-blocked by the creeps here and will die. So in the end, it's Slardar for Broodmother. That's not even the worst of trades, considering, like we've talked about, Slardar is the only person that you really care about to the high degree on the Radiant team. So, I mean, in the end, not the worst situation, but yeah, you're right. The amplified damage was still on, but it was about to dissipate, and I mean, you can still reapply that, obviously, in between. since the cooldown is actually lower than the duration. But in the meantime, Ancient Apparition can get a little bit of free farm here in the middle lane. He has some treads. This is something we neglected last time. I'm going to try to do this. A Soul Ring picked up on Broodmother, actually. She's already at bottom lane. So, going to start spamming those Broodlings, I would assume. Are they called Spawn Spiderlings? I'm thinking of StarCraft apparently. Spiderlings, yes.
Yeah, I guess you are. But I don't blame you because that made sense to me when you said it. So.
There you go. Ancient Apparition actually can get stunned here. He applies his ultimate to Slaughter. Slaughter's better be careful. Once he gets to 12% health, he will instantly die. Unfortunately, he's not going to get to that point. And Skeleton King actually TP's in the assist. And there's the ultimate from Lich. Actually going to do decent bounce, I guess. Enough to get the kill on at least Witch Doctor, so not the worst thing in the end. Lich is going to be applied to pressure by Crystal Maiden. Crystal Maiden only level 4 though, and Skeleton King really wants his testicles in his mouth. Although it's a chick, so it doesn't really make much sense, but Crystal Maiden will die. So that's a 2-for-0 trade there in favor of Dire. So Han players winning so far 6-3.
Yeah, that Chain Frost I thought was actually really good. It bounced, hit 3 heroes. Most importantly, disabled Slardar's Urn, which was about halfway applied, and all of a sudden he had to reuse a second Urn charge just to get him up to 70% HP. Like, if that Urn could have finished, he could have actually engaged in that team fight and maybe saved the Crystal Maiden. So I thought that was really smart Chain Frost from the Lich player.
Now at this point, when you're playing a Slaughter in this situation, what do you think, what item build do you go for as far as considering he's the only hero that can really take over this game for, I mean, do you go complete carry mode, or do you go for like a Blink Dagger and Treads, a little bit more safe, I guess. A little action at top, looks like Mirana will die. 2 Witch Doctors, Maledict, so nice combination there at top.
Well, Slardar with the Power Treads is a must, just to get that attack speed up. It's going to give you more bashes. A lot of Slardars either opt for like tanky, just going for like a Vanguard, or they go for something like a Blink Dagger. I haven't seen an armlet in a pro level player on Slardar in forever, but in this game they almost need something like that, honestly.
I can't disagree with you. There's a little action mid. Windrunner's going to try to run away, but looks like Ancient Apparition will get the kill thanks to her ultimate. And I think it's a her. I'm saying it's a her. It's probably a him, actually. This is a problem I've had in the past where I switch people's sexes all the time. Slardar is actually going to be caught out here, I would think. Actually, Mirana is the one in trouble now. She has an X-Fly damage applied to her. And Lich is going to be applied some pressure too. It looks like that's going to be an easy kill on the Lich. No ultimate for her. Still on cooldown. Lich will die. Actually, Slardar might die to this tower in the meantime. Pops that Urn just in time to stay alive. Looks like Mirana is trying to catch this Witch Doctor, but will not catch him, at least initially. Slardar better be careful too, because he's going to try to run away. Tanari might be in a world of trouble. Actually, the leap is down here for Mirana, so looks like Tanari will get away. Very low players for Radiant here. They might actually try to counteract this onto Mirana. Looks like that actually is going to be an easy kill. So nice turnaround there from Radiant. As now Ancient Apparition, whose ult is down, isn't really going to be able to do too much here.
I don't know if I'd call it an easy kill. That was really close. That was like a fraction of a second before Mirana landed the killing blow and Slardar stunned just in time. That was really good coordination. It is so much fun to bait out those kills when you're that close to dying. You're like, yeah, go ahead, chase me, man. It's worth it.
Meanwhile, Windrunner's going to try to run away to this combination of Skeleton King and Ancient Apparition. Ancient Apparition's ultimate should be up pretty soon here. It's up in 5 seconds. It's all depending if you can actually hit it here. 2 seconds now. He's going to pop that slow, whatever in God's name it's called. His ultimate is up. Is he actually going to go for it? He's like, no. He's going to use his cold feet on top of Slardar here in combination with Skeleton King. A lot of damage coming out there. Actually, gets applied. That might be enough for the kill. It's actually Windrunner's going to be here to help. Skeleton King's going to get slowed. And there's the Witch Doctor ultimate. It's going to be enough to kill Skeleton King. Of course, he's going to revive. Ooh! Looks like Ancient Apparition did die there. Now Skeleton King is in a world of trouble. He's going to get completely surrounded. Here's the Lich ult! What an ult. It's actually not going to be enough to get the kill on top of Slardar at this point. Followed by the Ravage from Tidehunter. And wow, lots of damage coming out. Only a 1-for-1 exchange at this point, though, which is most surprising to me, at least. And you saw Slardar using that Urn to stay in the fight here. Going to be enough to get the kill on Lich. Now Mirana's going to try to get the kill. Looks like Tidehunter is going to get that kill on Crystal. No, actually, that doesn't make sense. Because they're on the same team, Purge. They're on the same team, bro.
Oh, are they on the same team? Okay, that makes sense. That was a pretty good Chain Frost for sure. Unfortunately, Tidehunter ate that arrow, man. He couldn't get his Ravage off. He was about to cast it, but then he got arrowed. So 5 seconds or something like that. He must have had Kraken Shell. It did look like he had Kraken Shell as he came out of the stun, so maybe it just didn't trigger off, but kind of an unfortunate team fight for the Radiant team. And it does look like Sardar's going for that Vanguard.
I mean, what do you think about that? I mean, we've talked about this.
It's making him tanky. You know, there's a lot of magic nukes on the Dire team. Skeleton King is going to do reduced because of the damage block, which is cool. leg majorly, I guess. And it looks like Skeleton King actually is going for the armlet. He's got the Helm of Iron Will right now, so I think he's going to be able to outcarry Slardar, but Slardar is not to be underestimated. That AoE stun is really beast, so...
Yeah, I'm just having a hard time seeing these things come to fruition, or these heroes come to fruition for the Radiant as far as late game's concerned. They really have to take this over. And it's kind of weird, I didn't want to mention this because I'm technically a referee, but apparently you can just pick whatever side you want. If you're thinking about picking Slardar, I would think you'd want to pick the Dire. Ancient Apparition's going to get killed pretty easily here by the Radiant. It's a double kill for Windrunner. As actually Broodmother died, I didn't even see that! So double kill for Windrunner, nice job by her, as she has phase boost at this point. But I mean, if you have any idea you're picking Slardar, is there any reason not to go on the Dire side?
Oh, are you saying like which team do I think is gonna win?
No, I'm saying when you pick Slardar, you pick Dire, just because you want to kill Roshan.
Oh, just because it's easier to kill Roshan when you're on the Dire team? Is that what you mean?
Yes.
I mean, there's still smoke and stuff like that. I usually don't actually... I'm not really aware about, in terms of, like, what things are more powerful like that in terms of side, but a nice A ult's gonna land on Slardar. He's not gonna get low enough, I don't think. He's gonna have to lose another 80 HP, and the Witch Doctor ulti is beast as hell. Lich goes down. He's now trying to run away from the Sand King, but it's not gonna happen. His heal isn't enough. And will he get shackled? Oh, nice shackle from the Windrunner. He saw that coming. The power shot actually misses, and Sand King's gonna get... Skeleton King's getting away, damn it.
It's okay.
So
I do
hard.
The same thing. It really
so
is.
hard.
I mean, they really need to both be SK. Like, seriously, it's ridiculous. Broodmother's gonna chase Tidehunter here, but Tidehunter he has nothing but the one level of Kraken Shell is enough, basically, I think. I mean, you were talking about this, I saw your commentary. Why don't you explain how Kraken Shell works in terms of if you pick up a Vanguard?
Yeah, basically there's a couple different Tidehunter builds you can do. You can max Kraken Shell first, you get the 28 damage block on everything, but the thing is that it doesn't stack with Vanguard. It does have an extra buff to it, is that if you take 600 damage, you remove all of the negative debuffs, so usually you want at least one level of Kraken Shell, but what I kind of like to do is Tidehunter generally likes HP anyways, because if you have more HP, you trigger more Kraken Shells and are more likely to survive. So at that sense, Vanguard is a really great item for him, but the downside is the damage block doesn't stack. So I think the best skill build for a Tidehunter, if you actually have decent farms, just pick up one level of Kraken Shell and then opt for a Vanguard, because it'll give you that regen, that HP, and it'll fill that slight damage block gap that you would have, and you don't end up wasting an extra bunch of skill points on Kraken Shell.
Meanwhile, Broodmother here, still with the Soul Ring, still has treads now. I don't think she had that before, but I could be wrong. Along with the Poor Man's Shield. What does she go for? Orchid? Is it even pronounced Orchid?
Who?
I've heard it's Orchid. I'm talking about Broodmother.
It should be Orchid, I think. Let me check the words, or the letters, since obviously...
Well, I know it's O-R-C-H-I-D, but Orchid sounds awful.
Orchid is a flower. It's gotta be Orchid, dude.
That's what I figured. I'm gonna have to look that up after this.
That's Orchid. It's gotta be Orchid. Orchid would be the dumbest thing ever. In which case, we'll fight against it.
Yes.
We'll start a petition or something.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Actually, she's gonna perhaps get ganked here by the smoked up trio. Actually, it's really a support trio, so I don't know what they'll be able to do. I mean, Witch Doctor does have that Maledict, but unfortunately, Broodmother is just a little too fast for them. Meanwhile, in the middle, Slaughter still. I mean, I'm assuming he's gonna be going for a Blink Dagger at this point. It's actually no money, so something's in his. I assume something's on the chicken.
He just bought the Vanguard. The Vitality Booster is quite expensive, so.
Okay. Well, I mean, at the 17-minute mark, is that even... I mean, is this acceptable farm for somebody that needs to take over the game for them?
It's not horrible, but it could definitely be a lot better. You can get Vanguard at like 7 minutes if you have free farm or something like that, 7 or 8 minutes, and Treads is only a couple minutes away from that, plus the urn. He's definitely not doing amazing, but he's doing pretty good. He's actually going to get caught out of position here. Huge mistake by him. He's going to get caught in the Ice Vortex. Here's the nukes as well. He pops haste, and the A ulti is perfect. That's going to be a nice kill on Slardar, but that was a giant mistake there by Z0 Pro.
Speaking of giant mistake, Witch Doctor for some reason thinks he can solo the entire team. Poor Tanari gets triple gang banged and will die as a result. So 2 for nothing there in favor of Dire yet again. Actually, it's a pretty even game looking at the score here, but again, we've talked about it time and time again ad nauseum. They have the late game, speaking of the Dire, of course. So at this point, Radiant really need to step it up as far as taking over the game.
It's actually not even at all, man. The gold, if you look at the gold graph, there's a 5k advantage in the Dire team.
Am I going to have to open this thing up?
Yeah, do it, man. Just briefly. I know it's intimidating, but 5k is a lot of gold. That just tells you that the Dire team has been out farming the entire time. And that's because their lanes were better. You know, Tidehunter got nothing on the bot lane while that lane was free farmed. Mid was decent. It was pretty much equal in my opinion. But top lane, Broodmother really not slowed down a whole lot, and they've just been like dominating this game in terms of farm, and that's going to mean that their team fights and pushes are going to be a lot more successful.
Windrunner at top, trying to finish off that Mirana, but did not find her in the end. She's going to get cut off now. He's going to use that Windrun ability to try to get away. He's going to use the power shot to do a little bit of chip damage. Staying a little bit too long, I think. It's a Lich Ult's going to be used. Oh, it's not going to be enough to kill her. She has 14 freaking health. In the meantime, Witch Doctor's here to help out. He's going to take that Maledict and the ultimate on top of Scott. You know what? You might kill me, but I'm going to kill you as a result. And I think his ultimate's still up too. His Maledict will kill him. And I don't think they're going to be able to do enough damage to actually kill him yet again. So, a good job by Skeleton King, knowing that Radiant really have nothing to actually offer as far as killing him. So.
Yeah, that Windrunner got really lucky. She was actually down to 6 HP after that Chain Frost hit, and most importantly, Sand King was about to throw a stun. He never got his stun off. Right before he did, there was an epic Shackle shot from the Windrunner, so that was really, really good play by her just to stay alive.
Now I want to start going over some items here. So looking at some worthless items here. Oh, there's the Armlet of Armlet. Now that's called not Armlet of Mordigian.
Yeah, they got rid of all those dumb names like Messerschmitt's Reaver.
Oh, that was my favorite. What do you mean dumb? That was the best name ever.
Dude, it's so hard to say. Screw that.
Messerschmitt's was awesome. His Ravage is going to come out, hit all 3 players here at the top lane. And it looks like Mirana's going to get away just fine. And actually, a nice stun from Slaughter, both on Skeleton King and Lich. Remember, Skeleton King does not have his ultimate, so will die here. He's going to kill Tidehunter as a result, though. It's kind of actually a nice use of armor, getting a little bit extra. Oh, he's going to get 2 kills out of it, actually. So a 3-for-2 exchange in the end. Obviously, the support here is dying for the Radiant, but good job by Skeleton King actually staying in and using that armlet to its full effect.
Yeah, he definitely did a really good job there. He got way more kills than I expected. I thought that was like an absolute swing as soon as the Tidehunter went off and Slaughter got that stun off. It was like, oh my god, they're going to get rolled here. But he ended up turning around and picking up all those weak supports, especially when they ultis on them. That worked out really good. I think he made a huge play there.
Yeah, meanwhile, at the bottom, and this is what you hate about when you play against the Broodmother. You fight 4-on-5, and it's like an even fight for the most part. And I mean, Broodmother just pushing bottom. Like, no big deal, just gonna push bottom. As Mirana apparently kills Witch Doctor somehow. Let's see, did you catch that?
On the mid lane, I guess. Yeah. Let's see if we can see a blood pool. I don't actually see anything.
Well, I mean, Witch Doctor, he doesn't have. I mean, look at him. He's like a skinny little monkey.
He died right in the middle of the river. If you double click his icon, it'll show you.
Oh, nice. Yeah, he doesn't have much blood, unfortunately, which we have to talk to Ice Frog about that. I think, you know, because you can't discriminate as far as the amount of blood is concerned. I think it's. Really
Dude, you know, what'd be really cool is if somebody died in the river. If like the blood floated, that would be so baller.
It doesn't do that already.
Well, I assume not. You probably just can't see it because it's like at the bottom of the water. That'd be so cool if the blood just like started floating slowly down the river.
I feel like that would be beautiful. I've seen puddles of blood in the river.
Oh yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, in the river. I don't know.
I think it sinks right away or something like that. I can't remember. But yeah, obviously very game-breaking mechanics that need to be fixed and
yeah, they need to work on that first thing.
No doubt. Looking at Mirana, looks like she has a Yasha, so going for a Manta style, I do presume, unless you go on SNY for some reason, but I highly doubt that. Actually, I have a question for you, considering that I'm just curious about certain things like this.
Sure.
SNY, I remember back in the day before I quit Dota, was an orb, and obviously it's not an orb anymore. Do you think it's been picked up more often now that it's not an orb, or? Yeah,
I think it's a buff, obviously. They just removed the orb, and I think the reason they did it is because it's actually a very mediocre item. A lot of noobs love it, because they're like, oh my god, HP, movement speed, attack speed, the orb, it's great. But there's a lot of generally better items you can get. People are more concerned about the damage than just like the all-around mediocre utility that it gives you. And now it's just more useful with a lot more heroes. You don't have to like trade like this. In the slow is great, but it's not as good as getting another orb is the thing. So almost every time everybody's gonna be like, well, I would love to have an SNY, but it's just not gonna happen. And there's a lot more options and abilities and heroes that you can use it with. Like Ursa is probably the best example. You can actually use an SNY with Ursa. He'll attack really fast. You know, give the slow on. It's just like it makes the item more viable is the thing, and it's just gonna get picked up more, which I think was a very worthy buff because nobody ever used it.
Unless you were ARDM, then it was picked up every single hero because it's the best item to get since it's
That's
so
true.
utilitarian. It gives you stats for pretty much everything other than intelligence. Who cares about intelligence when you're playing ARDM? I mean,
Everyone's a carry.
Yeah, pretty much. Looks like Blink Dagger was just picked up by Tidehunter. That should be pretty huge for them, and I think this is the point where you have to start being a little bit more aggressive, taking a little more risks. It looks like the ultimate from Miran's going to be used, and wow, that's going to be a dead Witch Doctor. Ultimate from both Lich and Ancient Apparition coming out, and that's going to be a dead Crystal Maiden as well. So that's 2 for nothing out of nowhere. And I think at this point, where's Broodmother actually? Broodmother's going to be pushing the bottom lane in the meantime. I think they can probably get 2 towers here pretty easily if they really apply the pressure. But again, Tidehunter picking up that Blink Dagger. Do you think that's going to be enough to perhaps start some sort of a turnaround here?
They just need a really good initiation, basically. You know, if Slardar also has a Blink Dagger, we could see some really cool stuff happen if they're grouped up. But the Dire team is doing a lot better teamwork and ganking and stuff like that right now. Other than like the Radiant's made a couple mistakes as well. So I really don't know if they're going to be able to pull out wins here. But Tidehunter Blink Dagger can make a huge difference. You can place that Anchor Smash on everybody. I mean, that makes a big difference too. 225 physical damage, and it reduces their attack damage by 40% of their base, which is actually a crap load of impact in team fights. So if you can get those debuffs off and that ultimate, it can make a big impact. And I love his item build right now. It's really great.
And then at bottom, are they going to be able to deny it? Nope! Broodmother's going to get the kill. It has that BKB picked up. He's going to use it to try to run away here. And his team really isn't really close, considering they're not close, considering that. But BKB is going to wear off, and that most likely will be a dead Broodmother in the end here. There's a nice shackle shot. AAL coming out, but unfortunately not be able to do too much here, as the illusions from Skeleton King are pounding into Crystal Maiden along with the Spiderlings. Don't think it's going to be enough to get the kill, but kind of funny to see Cut a little Crystal Maiden get almost killed by the illusion / Spiderling combination.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
I mean, at this point, you lose Broodling, or you lose Broodmother, Broodling, whatever. God, I keep thinking of Stark. I don't know what the deal is. Skeleton King's just gonna dive here, and Winter's gonna get stunned by Mirana as a result. Double stun combination, easy kill on Mirana yet again. I mean, I feel like at this point, Dire just being the more aggressive of the 2 teams, and considering they have the better late game, that's just not a good sign for Radiant. Not to beat a dead horse here, but
yeah, I definitely agree. Their teamwork's been better. Their lanes were slightly better. Skeleton King is actually carrying. He's almost got his Black King bar, I think is what he's going for. He does have his egg, or his ulti, so he will not end up dying, and he's actually going to do a nice play. That was a good play by Tidehunter. Just blinking in, using the Anchor Smash, burn his ulti. He's not going to be able to die twice for another 140 seconds.
And then in the middle lane, like Slardar is going to be in a little bit of trouble here. There's a nice stun actually from Witch Doctor. Can he get his ultimate and Maledict off? Yes! Looks like Ancient Raptor's going to get killed along with Lich, so a nice combination from Witch Doctor there. And there's a Lich ultimate going to come out. Oh my god, the bounces are ridiculous. Slardar is going to get killed, and that's all that really matters. Only hero that you care about dying here. BKB now picked up on Mirana, actually. And like you said, SK is also going for one, and Slardar actually as well, so he's a recipe away from finishing that. But of course, that death's going to hinder him a little bit, and Sora's picking that up. But I really have a hard time seeing the Radiant coming back from this. And I think it all comes down to a couple points here. Slardar is somebody that needs to take over early, and he has not at this point. I think it's probably a little too late considering that we're getting into the mid stage of the game. I think another 15 minutes is basically the timetable for Radiant here. Would you agree with that?
I don't even know if I'd give them 15 minutes. I would say probably 10, because they're going to do a lot of split pushing now. They're 7,500 gold in the advantage now. Broodmother's going to be constantly sitting in the bot lane. He's going to be farming jungle. If he's not farming jungle, he's going to be pushing the lane. He's going to go back and forth, and he's going to get a major item after this. And from there on, the rest of their team is going to probably attempt Raxes. And, you know, if you pick up a Slardar, you really need to try like a push strategy. Navi played him a lot, a couple times at the International, where they didn't really focus on any hard carries. They just took a lot of control of towers. And the Radiant team here has just been trying to play him as a hard carry, and that's a mistake. You can't just like farm with him for like 20 minutes and then try to out carry like people like Skeleton King or Broodmother or any other hard carry. It's just not really going to work out.
I'm looking at the score. I didn't even realize he's 9-3, so he's not. It's not like he's doing bad. It's just there's not a whole lot he can do as far as team fight capabilities go. I mean, the rest of his team's just getting rocked in the face. So looks like Roshan is going to be attempted here and most likely killed. And this is, again, I still think it's even with the smoke, it's still an advantage for Dire here. Especially considering...
to grab Roshan possibly,
yeah. You can kill... I'm sorry. With Slardar, I mean, you can kill Roshan in like 10 seconds.
Regeneration.
So, I mean, even being on Radiant, you still have a good chance of killing him. Unfortunately, they haven't attempted that. So it's like Aegis is going to be picked up by Slardar, or by Broodmother, who has the lads now, so... Can add insult to injury as far as that's concerned. It looks like she's just going to be pushing bottom while the rest of the team perhaps going to be pushing mid. So kind of the price you pay for playing against Broodmother and not banning her, which again we've talked about. The Lich and the Broodmother being picked up are huge picks, and it's just weird to see them both in the same team actually.
Yeah, we're gonna see initiation on the mid lane though. Crystal Maiden getting stunned. No shackle shot, unfortunately, on the Sand King or Skeleton King. Sorry, he does have his ulti, but he pops the BKB, turns at the last second. He actually doesn't turn on his armlet yet. A little bit of a mistake by him. Just now turning on. Big Tidehunter ulti is gonna do disables all over, but the Dire team looking really healthy. All the BKBs going off. There's so many BKB heroes, and the Chain Frost is nailing a lot of creeps. Everybody's still pretty high. Slardar, the first death in this team fight, surprisingly, but Tidehunter is gonna drop as well.
Not good. 3 for nothing, and I think this, if there was a concede feature, I think right about now would be the concede time. But unfortunately, we have to finish the game.
This is just like demonstration of their farm advantage, because that wasn't a bad team fight from the Radiant team. But I mean, after all those ultis, you looked at the HP of all those Dire heroes, they were all at like 60% or higher, and then they all like fought back, and that's when it was over. You know, 14,000 gold advantage. That's what we're looking at, man. 14,000 gold advantage. That is a stupidly high number, and they're gonna basically just rax the game until they. I don't expect them to leave the Radiant base until this is over, basically.
Yeah, I agree. And just if you're talking about the gold league in general, I think a better way to look at this is the gold per minute, and you have 3 players on the Dire with over 400.
Wow.
That just speaks volumes. I mean,
That's a lot.
I mean, 400 is basically, for people that aren't used to this, considering that Dota didn't even have that, I don't believe. This looks like,
No.
I'm not going to call this. I mean, Tanari's going to get stunned here. Double stun, actually. Looks like saying Skunk is going to have enough to get the kill there. Pops the Arnold, pops the BKB, and I mean, at this point, Radiant's just trying to hold it off, but they just don't have enough. Skeleton King can use the ultimate, so he can come back right after that. Broodmother still has the Aegis, so I mean, we're talking about a game that's over. It's completely over at this point. But 400 gold per minute is really good. Like, I'd say 500 is what you really, really want your carry to get to. But if you have 3 people on your team at 400 plus, the game's over. I mean, you're not going to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 400 gold per minute is really good. In a pub game, especially, it's tough to get up to that at times. But like a hard carry, 500 is like, oh my god, you're farming a really good, man. Nice job. 400 on 3 heroes is. That's ridiculous. 3 semi-carries farming that hard is really great, and that's basically why they won this game, because the Radiant team couldn't do as good of farming. It was like Slardar and Windrunner, and that was about it, so it's understandable.
It's kind of unfortunate to see. I'm kind of glad that we're right, at least me, because I'm more used to casting Han at this point. But seeing like lineups come to fruition as far as late game's concerned, I mean, when you pick a lineup like this, like you've been talking about, you have a timetable that you have to commit to, and I don't think I mean, there's no blink on Slardar. I mean, sure, Tidehunter has the blink, so that's your main initiation, but I still think Slardar, you're going for a little bit of a defensive build when you need to just completely snowball the hero, and that's not going to help. I mean, it's going to help you survive in team fights, but you're just not doing enough. I don't agree with the build in this game personally. I mean, I think that's good build in general, but for their team makeup, I'm not too big of a fan of it, to be perfectly honest. And he's gonna actually get caught off here. Not gonna pop the BKB. He's gonna be stunned by Skeleton King. Is Lich gonna be able to do enough to actually save him? Actually, Lich and Skeleton King are the ones in trouble here. They're gonna try to run away, amplify damage to on Lich at this point. He's gonna get stunned by Slardar. There's an AAL coming up. There's BKB's popped by Slardar. We have a huge lag spike. That's not good timing for them. There's a Lich.
Looks like he's actually getting bashes, and the Chain Frost is going off and hitting a couple of people, and Sand King actually, or Skeleton King, not doing quite as well as I thought he would. But he's gonna have another nuke on the Slardar in just a second. There it is. He's gonna get cold feet as well. 2 hits isn't gonna be enough, and indeed he does go down. Crystal Maiden will now escape, but she's gonna TP back to base. 3 heroes died there, despite it starting as a 2v4 or 2v4 there, and they still ended up losing.
Did I lag by any chance?
I don't think I noticed any lag that time.
Okay, good.
That one was all you.
That's good. Aegis still on Broodmother, by the way. She is level 18. Actually, let me get the levels here. Slardar being the top level on the Radiant team at 15. 20! Skeleton King is level 20, my god. And he was in the dual lane, so that's pretty crazy to see. I would expect actually Broodmother to be the highest level in the entire game, because it's just so easy to just free farm and push lanes by yourself. But Skeleton King level 20. That's pretty ridiculous. And I'm glad that he picked up an armlet just to prove you right, because that's something we don't really see very often, Skeleton King.
Yeah, I mean, I think when people play Skeleton King, it's almost every time, but on a hero like Slardar, almost never see armlets on him. I want to point out one other quick thing that I just thought about, which was interesting. I mean, sometimes people pick up Slardars to counter heroes like Anti-Mage because the stuns and the amp damage just really burst him down effectively. But the one thing that the Dire team did right is they had multiple semi-carries. They didn't just go for one hard carry. You know, it's easy to shut down one guy. You can be like, oh, there's Anti-Mage, everybody gank him. Oh, there he is. Go gank him again, gank him again, gank him again. And that's not possible when they have a Broodmother, Skeleton King, and a Priest of the Moon. It's like, you have to spread out all your ganks. It's not just like you can go one place and finish it up. And I think that's one reason why maybe they didn't necessarily have the best teamwork, or they didn't necessarily have the best direction. It's because they didn't really know where to go. It's like, what do I do now, man? Keep farming, I guess, you know?
Yep. Very true. And we're seeing smoke being used here. Actually, I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen a little bit more. We've seen it a couple times, but I would assume we see it more often considering that there's a Broodmother in this game. Would you agree with that assessment, that that's a good, solid counter? It's like a soft counter to somebody like a...
To Broodmother?
Yeah, because of the webs being able to see you regardless. Unless you're using smoke.
They don't give a ton of vision, but in some sense, I mean, wards is probably going to be a little bit more. But there's the initiation. Priest of the Moon, will she get tanked down? Yes, she gets bursted. Lich in a little bit of trouble, so but that Chain Frost doing so much work. Witch Doctor goes down. Windrunner looks like she's about to die. Last second pops Windrunner. Will she be able to escape? It's looking close. The bottle is going to save her from the Hellfire Blast, I think. And she looks alive. No, she goes down to the burning and the 2 creeps, man. Slardar going to try to finish off the Sand King. Will it happen? I don't know, man.
2 for 2 exchange at this point, and Crystal Maiden's going to get rocked in the face, and Slaughter's going to go down with her as Broodmother's going to try to fly a little bit slow to Titan. That's the last one standing for this Radiant team. That's going to be an easy kill. GG's come out, and that's going to be game. So congratulations to Gamers League, bunch of Han players. Shout out to you guys, love you. Zoinoi Snoo and well, I don't know if the rest of the players are actually playing on their names, but Giftig and Strange Bee I know are on this team technically. Not sure if they're playing or not. This top rack is going to go down, but we've talked about this entire game as far as what we thought about the lanes and the picks, and I think that was the difference. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree. I think their lanes were a little bit better for sure, and the Radiant team didn't have a hard carry, and they didn't do the amazing amount of ganking that they would have needed to in the mid lane, in the mid game. Tidehunter never got farmed, just out-farmed, outpicked a little bit, and they didn't really have the best teamwork or direction.
Assault picked up by Skeleton King. Just finish off these towers. And you know what? Need that -5 armor on these towers, and screw you guys. It's like push stick or force staff. Do you call it push stick? You call it push stick, right?
I don't think I've ever called it that, but
Really?
I call a lot of things
Have you
stick.
heard
I always
it?
call it force staff.
Have you heard
I
it called push stick?
Maybe. I mean, I call it sheep stick, cyclone stick, ulti stick, stuff, all that stuff. I call it everything stick. So
I'm starting a trend then with the push stick then.
all right, we'll see it on worldwide Twitter pretty soon here, I'm sure.
True that. All right, so anyway, thanks for joining us, guys. I think we're going to be doing another game in, I think, an hour, if I'm not mistaken. So I'll probably keep the stream on Splash page until then. But this was the Group 8, actually, for SkyNet League. Masspro versus Gamers League. Gamers League's come out on top. Again, this is the group qualifiers, so top 2 teams of each group will continue on to the actual tournament that starts January 2nd. And I think Masspro, at this point, who lost this game, are actually still in it, considering that it's still the top 2 in the group. And I think this is their first loss of the group stages, so look forward to that. Purge, any last words before we end this? That sounds kind of grim, actually. Any last words, Purge?
Go vote, guys, I guess.
Nice. My name is SUNSfan, this is Purge. Thanks for joining us, and we shall return with another game soon.
All right, thanks, guys.